Good evening, short story writers. Today we're going to sort of explore the theme of the whole write what you know stuff. That's the advice given to beginning writers. Certainly in fiction, a lot of people get overwhelmed by that and they think, well, what do I know? I've led a fairly placid life. And if you look back at a lot of the prompts, they are from everyday events. What you know is not simply what you have experienced, but what you have learned, your knowledge. And there's an overlap. What you have learned and your knowledge comes from what you have experienced. So today we're going with the cue from my own life, my own everyday life. And it's everyday insofar as once a year you go for a checkup to the dentist. And so I think, okay, this is part of the list of things that they're on the periphery of my, not daily, but everyday mundane life. So there's your day-to-day routine, your commute to work, your work experience, your family, and then there are these other things when you have to occasionally go and see lawyers, perhaps for property transactions, or you have to go to the doctors, you have to go to the pharmacy for medicine, and there's ways of taking what you know about those situations and finding the basis of a story. So the dentist can be, as you know, anything from a routine checkup where they don't do anything, but you get a lovely little bill, or they have to do some routine maintenance work, or they have to do something major. And dentists and indeed opticians, not just doctors, can have a kind of a third, not effect. They can find other problems with your health. So your optician can see whether or not you've got diabetes, and put you, say, go see your doctor. And with the dentist, this pertains to root canals and things, but if you've got an abscess, the bacteria in abscess is the same bacteria that can affect the valves of the heart and cause heart disease and heart failure and lead to a heart attack. And there have been quite a few instances of people who had toothache, and you just thought it was toothache, took some aspirin or paracetamol, and then 3 weeks later they'd conked and they were previously healthy. So it's not something to be taken lightly. Anyway, that in itself is one major idea for a story. Somebody ignores a toothache and then they find themselves in hospital fighting for their life. But let's go with something with potential comic elements, because comedy. So somebody finally goes to the dentist, they overcome the massive fear because they've got a nagging toothache, and they go and the dentist says, well, okay, we can give you some antibiotics, we can cure all that. However, we are going to need to extract, and there's a cringe and squeamish sort of comedy element in there that you could exploit. Literary, it would be literary fiction. This would be exploring people's natural aversion to doing certain unpleasant tasks and putting them off perhaps until the pain becomes so great that they've got to do it. And even then afterwards, maybe they don't learn and they continue to let their teeth erode, which causes other problems. A romance, I don't know, maybe a dental hygienist and a patient hit it off. The preliminary, how are your teeth, how is like, turns into banter, and that turns into flirting, and that turns into, I don't know, some sort of dentally related romance. Sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and surreal. Well, this isn't everyday life, but I do remember a story once where somebody went to the dentist and the dentist pulled the offending tooth, and as he put it in a tray, I think it was an earwig or something that had been living in the tooth, apparently, crawled out. I don't know, it'd been living on the blood or something. Maybe that was what was causing the infection. I don't know, but the bacteria causing the heart disease, it could be in science fiction and in horror, some sort of, not virus exactly, but some symbiotic and malign, not sure. Maybe it's like alien biding its time until it bursts out, shall we say. Okay, political, some high-ranking official has to go to the dentist, and the bodyguard is a bit wary about the choice of dentist because it's a security issue, and lo and behold, there's an assassination attempt, etc., etc., etc. Biographical, the history of anaesthetic, and or the history of, well, dentists, because apparently until relatively recently, maybe 100 years ago, if you wanted your teeth pulled, you went either to the barber, hence the red, and they were surgeons as well, and so they cut your hair, pulled your teeth, and also performed minor surgery, hence the red around the barber's pole, because that's meant to signify the blood on bandages. Charming. Or you went to the fairground and there was a band playing as they pulled your tooth without anaesthetic. To hide the screams, the band would play louder. So this cost you however much it cost you in those days, but there were no kind of crowns or anything like that. You either had your tooth pulled or that was it. So that's, if the dentist doesn't suit you, then there's the opticians, trip to the doctor. That's always good for a bit of drama, isn't it? Disease of the week and all that on television, I believe it was. Okay, right, a little bit longer than usual, but have fun with that. And there's always the Little Shop of Horrors as well, if you need a little bit of sci-fi inspiration, stroke musical. And I'll see you next time.